Dear viewers, welcome to our channel GVS Bank Academy. Today I am going to present and discuss part 4 of JIB Legal and Regulatory Aspect of Banking Memory Record Questions, question number 71 to 100. Already we had uploaded 3 parts up to 70 questions. Today 71 to 100 questions we are going to discuss. Question number 71. Cancellation of certificate of registration of asset reconstruction companies. Who is having authority to cancel the registration of certificate of asset reconstruction companies means that is by RBI only. For starting of business of asset reconstruction company, also license can be given by RBI. In the event of any non-compliances by the ARCs, the registration is also cancelled by RBI. What are the reasons for the cancellation of certificate of registration of ARCs by RBI? When within the stipulated time the ARCs has not started to carry the business, or they have ceased to carry the business, or not started the business, failed to comply with any of the conditions of certificate of registration, whatever the conditions given under certificate of registration by RBI, they had failed to comply with the conditions, or failed to comply with RBI directions if any, and they have to fail to comply with RBI directions or maintenance of books as per RBI directions. In these circumstances, ARC can registration of ARC can be cancelled by RBI. This is question number 70. Question number 72. Security receipt. What is meant by security receipt? And it is security receipt issued by the securitization companies, means asset reconstruction companies, to a qualified institutional buyer, QIB, qualified institutional buyers, who are registered with SEBI in pursuance to a securitization program. That is the security receipt. Normally, who are the qualified institutional buyers? These are big investors who are registered with SEBI, pension funds, banks, financial institutions, mutual funds, and insurance companies. These are the qualified institutional buyers. That is question number 72. Question number 73. If there is a dispute among banks, financial institution, and securitization company, that is ARCs, relating to non-payment of amount or the provisions of Surface Act 2, the available option is to banks, financial institutions, security. They can be settled by their dispute by conciliation as per Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996. So any dispute is there between banks, financial institutions, and the ARCs that can be settled by conciliation as per Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996. Question number 74. Maximum time within which reply must be given under Right to Information Act. Normally, within 30 days, you have to provide the information under Right to Information Act. If that is belongs to life and liberty matters, it has to be given reply within 48 hours. Question number 75. Exemption from disclosure of information under RT Act. The following information we cannot provide under RTA application. What is there? Information including commercial confidence and trade secrets. Any information regarding to trade secrets, commercial confidence, that information cannot be provided. Disclosure of personal information also not provided under RTA. The exemption is also available to the banks if the disclosure of information is likely to harm the competition position of the bank itself. The information what they are asking that is going to likely harm the competition position of the bank, that information also cannot be disclosed under Right to Information Act. This is question number 75. Under RTA Act, the party who is seeking the information need not disclose the reason for which the information is sought for. So, and in RTA application, for what purpose he is asking, that purpose is not disclose the reason for which the information is sought. That is question number 76. Question number 77. Who can seek information under RTI Act? Any citizen of India can ask the information. Any citizen. Question number 78. Reply penalty for delay in is per day if information is not furnished within the specified time. What is the penalty per day? From 250 rupees per day penalty and maximum penalty under the RBI Act for the late submission of information 25,000 only. Per day 250, maximum 25,000 under this Act. That is about question number 17. Question number 79. What is the fee required for filing RT application? Now, fee is 10 rupees towards RT fee in the form of cash, postal order, bank draft that they can give. If the person who is seeking the information is below poverty line, BPL category, that 10 rupees fee is also not required to pay the application fee. Normally 10 rupees, and the person belong to BPL category, that 10 rupees is also not required. That is question number 79. Question number 80. Validity period of the check reduced to 3 months from 6 months from 1/4/2012 as per what directions? As per RBI guidelines under section 35A of RBI Act. Under 35A of RBI Act, the RBI reduced the validity of the check from 6 months to 3 months. That is section 35A is public interest. As for public interest, under public interest, RBI is having power to do under 35. Under 35A, Banking Ombudsman was also introduced. Under 35A, RBI VR Act, section 35A, a clean note policy was also introduced. Under 35 of RBI VR Act, that KYC guidelines also implemented. So 35A of VR Act is very, very important for all the purposes. Question number 81. Trust deed is silent about loans by the trust. Now this is about the trust account. Trust deed is silent about the loan details. Loan particulars, loan taking details. The trustee, one of the trustee approaches for a loan, whether bank can give. No loan can be given. No loan can be raised by the trust, and no loan can be sanctioned by the bank because the trustee is silent. Trust deed is silent. So trustee is not having power to take loan when trustee's deed is silent. This is question number 81. Rights of unpaid seller. Sales of Goods Act. Rights of unpaid seller against the goods. What is the rights of unpaid seller against the goods when the property in the goods has been passed? He can retain the goods or right of stoppage of goods in transit. If the goods are there in transit, he can stop the goods in the transit only. Right to resale. Right to resell to others also. He is having right to the rights of unpaid seller. So against goods. When property in the goods has not passed, when the property in the goods is not passed, he can withhold the delivery of the goods. 1. Then 2. Against the buyer personally, he can file a case, right issue for price or damages, and along with damages interest also, he can file a case against the buyer personally. So this is about the rights of unpaid seller, Sales of Goods Act, most important for legal and regulatory asset. Question number 83, supply bills. Supply bills arise in relation to transaction with government departments and public sector undertakings. When a customer is doing any contract with the government and with public sector undertaking, that party who is dealing with the government department, he is entitled for getting progressive payments based on work done work completed for which he has submitted bills. Based on progressive construction of works, he can submit the bills in accordance with the contract of terms and conditions. That is called supply bills. Supply bills, to whom it should be financed? Banks lend against supply bills by way of bills purchase, discount, bills discount also, or he can finance against cash credit facility, against receivables, that is called against supply bills to be received from government departments and public sector undertaking. So supply bills will arise only when a customer is dealing with government department and public sector undertakings. That is. Now, question number 85. Charge against supply bills. What is the charge against supply bills? That is called assignment. Whatever the charge you are going to create, assignment. Assignment was defined in Transfer of Property Act. This is charge against supply bills. That is assignment. Assignment defined under Transfer of Property Act. 86. As per Consumer Protection Act, who is a consumer? That is the meaning. Consumer means who buys goods for a consideration which has been paid. The consideration which he has already paid or promised to pay, or partly paid or partly promised to pay under any system of deferred payment system also. So customer means who for consideration has become a customer, and any system of deferred payment system also, and includes any user of such goods other than who pays. So consumer means who purchased the goods for consideration and not and for the self-consumption or for consumption purpose only, not for resale purpose. Consumer means who had purchased the goods for consumption, not for a resale purpose. That is called as a consumer under Consumer Protection Act. 87. The consequence of non-registration of partnership firm. The unregistered partnership firm cannot sue, cannot file a case others for recovery of its dues. That is the disadvantage of partnership firm is they cannot file, they cannot sue others for recovery of its dues. That is the disadvantage of partnership firm. One of the disadvantages. Question number 88. Dissolution of partnership refers to the dissolution of partnership. When the partnership is going to be dissolved or dissolved. Change in the existing relations of the partners. When there is a change in the relationship of partners, the partnership is going to be dissolved. What is there? After dissolution of partnership firm, the firm continues its business after being reconstituted. Again, after dissolution, the partnership may be reconstituted as per the agreement of the partners. This may happen on admission of new partner, retirement of existing partner, or death of the existing partner, or change in the profit sharing ratio of in the partnership firm. In the following, admission, retirement, or death of the partner, or change in the profit sharing ratio. These are the conditions for dissolution and reconstitution. If all the existing partners want to reconstitute, they can continue the business. Otherwise, they want to dissolve, they can dissolve the partnership firm also. That is question number 88. Question number 89. Partner become insolvent. In a partnership firm, one of the partner become insolvent. What is the role of bank? What bank should do? That is the question. It is a little bit complicated question also. If a partner of a firm is adjudicated as insolvent by the court or by the tribunal, he is ceased to be act as a partner from the date of the order. Any partner has been adjudicated as insolvent. From the day onwards, he is going to cease as a partner. That is it may, adjudication of the partner may result, may not dissolve the firm also. If the firm is not dissolved, pursuant to the contract upon adjudication of a partner, the estate of the decision or estate of the partner so adjudicated as insolvent is not liable for the act of the firm. So it means that the adjudication partner estate is not liable applicable to the firm acts. That is number one. Number two, the firm is not also liable for the act of the insolvent. Both way. Estate of the partner of adjudicated is not liable for the act of the firm, and the firm is also not liable for the any act of the insolvent done after the date. So this is about the insolvent, partner become insolvent. 89. 90. Foreign banks having place of business in Mumbai with amount and profits will be transferred to RBI. Foreign banks operating in India had to deposit and keep deposited with RBI an amount of 15 lakhs. They have to deposit. If the place of business in Mumbai and Calcutta, they have to deposit 20 lakhs. Foreign banks operating in India keep deposit with RBI. Apart from this, an amount of 20% of the profits for each year in respect of business transacted, they have to be deposited with RBI. This is there. Foreign banks operating in India had to deposit and keep deposited with RBI an amount of 15 lakhs with the RBI. If they are having a place of business in Mumbai and Calcutta, 20 lakhs. It means this is the amount which they have to maintain with the RBI. Apart from this, 15 lakhs, or if they are having place of business in Mumbai and Calcutta, 20 lakhs. Apart from this, 20% of the profit for each year, they have to be transacted through the branches in India, disclosed in the profit and loss account, has to be deposited with RBI. So this is about the foreign banks operating in India. Question number 91. Document of title to goods includes. Document of title to goods includes. As per Sales of Goods Act, document of title to goods include bill of lading, shipping bill, railway receipt, transport receipt, dock warrant, warehouse keeper certificate, or any order for delivery of goods. All are become document of title to goods. Bill of lading, railway receipt, this is. Section 92, pledge. Under section 172 of the Indian Contract Act, pledge is bailment of goods. Yes, pledge is a bailment of goods as security for repayment of the loan. Why is doing the bailment of goods? As security and for repayment of the loan. This is as a security. The bailer, the borrower is called as, the bailer means who is doing the bailment of goods is called pawnee. The bailee is called as pawnee. In the case of bank loan, pawnee means borrower, pawnee means bank. This is the pledge 172 of the Indian Contract Act. Question number 93. Vice chairman of a board of financial supervisor is elected by vice chairman of the board of BFS, board of financial supervision. One deputy governor of the Reserve Bank of India is the vice chairman of board of financial supervision. Normally, the deputy governor in charge of supervision department is nominated as the vice chairman of the board. So one deputy governor is the vice chairman of the BFS. Normally, deputy governor in charge of the supervision is nominated as vice chairman. This is RBI. Bank guarantees. Question number 94. Bank guarantees are very, very important for LREB, legal and regulatory aspect of banking paper. Bank guarantee, compulsory question. In each and every examination, 4 to 5 questions from bank guarantees. Liability of guarantor, co-extensive with that of principal debtor. So, guarantor liability is co-extensive as that of principal debtor. As long as the principal borrower debtor liability is there, guarantor liability is also co-extensive. Liability of the surety is secondary. Liability of the principal debtor borrower is primary, and liability of the surety is secondary. Right of subrogation. What is meant by right of subrogation? When the guarantor has repaid the bank loan The right of the guarantor for suing the debtor after payment of the dues by the guarantor to the creditor. So after repayment of the loan by the guarantor to the bank, the surety, the guarantor is entitled to the benefit of every security which the creditor has against the principal debtor. Whatever the securities are having with the banker, that is creditor, the entire securities are going to be completely belongs to the guarantor. Why? Because the guarantor has repaid the dues to the banker. After repayment of the dues by the guarantor to the bank, the guarantor, the surety, is entitled to receive the securities which with the banker which he is having. So this is about right of subrogation, very important point also. Revocation of continuing guarantee. This is also one important question and a difficult question to understand also. Revocation of continuing guarantee. Continuing guarantee means guarantee given for a series of transactions. CC account is there, cash credit account, that is a routine account, daily operational account. Overdraft account, that is also daily running account, operative accounts. In the operative accounts of cash credit and overdraft accounts, if guarantor want to withdraw his bank guarantee, okay, withdraw his bank guarantee, he can withdraw the bank guarantee by giving a notice for future transactions only. He can withdraw his guarantee for future transactions only. Whatever the transactions, whatever the balance outstanding as on the date of revocation, he is liable for repayment of the loan. So he can revoke, he can take back his guarantee back for future transactions by giving a notice to the banker. He can withdraw the guarantee for a future transaction by giving a notice. Surety, guarantor is liable, remain liable for transaction already executed, already outstanding balance on the date of revocation in cash credit account and OD account. The guarantee is liable. This question is very, very, very important about this. Now, question number 95. Question number 95. Deferred payment guarantee. Deferred payment guarantee. Normally, these guarantees arise in case of purchase of machinery or purchase of any other capital equipment by the customer directly from the supplier of capital goods. So in this case, what the customer is doing, he want to purchase the capital goods, plant, machinery, etc. from the supplier of the capital goods without taking bank loan, without taking bank term loan. Now, under this, now the supplier cannot supply the goods without any bank guarantee. Under that circumstances, the customer is asking the bank guarantee. Under this bank guarantee, the banker guarantees payment of installments spread over a period of time. So it means that for directly customer is taking capital goods from the supplier. For that, the supplier is asking the bank guarantee for payment of future installments spread over a period. As long as the customer is repaying the installments, banker no problem, and banker is not having any liability. When the customer is unable to remit the installment to the supplier, then the banker's liability is coming into picture. So this is called deferred payment guarantee. Normally, this will arise as purchase of machinery or capital goods directly from the supplier by the customer. 96. Letter of credit is also very important topic for LRAB. Sometimes 5 to 6 marks case study also there is. All letter of credits are irrevocable letter of credit as per UCPDC 600. All letters of credits are irrevocable. What is meant by irrevocable LC? It cannot be amended, it cannot be cancelled without the consent of beneficiary. A letter of credit does not allow the issuing bank to make any changes without the approval of beneficiary, means exporter. So, for any amendment, exporter's consent is required, beneficiary. Who is primary liable in a letter of credit? Issuing bank, opening bank, or importer's bank. Who is primary liable in a letter of credit means opening bank, issuing bank, or importers bank. LC is supported by documents, that is called documentary letter of credit. Documentary letter of credit. Anticipatory letter of credit or red clause letter of credit. Anticipatory or red clause letter of credit means the exporter will get free shipment finance. An exporter is receiving a anticipatory letter of credit or red clause letter of credit, immediately he will get free shipment finance from his bank on the strength of this red clause. Free shipment finance the exporter can utilize for purchase of raw material, processing, manufacturing, up to shipment. He can use this free shipment. So under red cross letter of credit, this free shipment working capital limits he will get from the bank under the letter of credit. This is called anticipatory letter of credit. Question number 97, lease agreement termination. This is transfer of property acts. Lease agreement termination. Now the lease agreement is going to be terminated. Leases are two types. One is agriculture or manufacturing lease. Another one is any other leases. Agriculture or manufacturing lease can be terminated by the lessor or lessee by giving a 6 months notice to one another. So by giving 6 months notice to by lessor or lessee, they can cancel the lease agreement either in agriculture or manufacturing lease. That is about agriculture manufacturing lease termination. Another one is a lease for any other purpose other than these two, any other purpose, rental agreement that there. Any other purpose means rental, etc. can be terminated by the lessor or lessee by giving 15 days notice. So, a lessor lease may any other purpose means other than agriculture or manufacturing, normally rent, monthly rental that is there can be terminated by the lessor or lessee by giving 15 days notice. That is lease agreement termination transfer of property. 98 income tax TDS. TDS is deducted on the following. When the TDS is going to be tax deduction at source. At the time of payment of salaries to the employer can deduct salaries. At the time of payment of interest payment on deposits, bankers will deduct TDS, tax. At the time of commission payments, at the time of rent payments, rent more than 2,40,000 in a year, then TDS on rent also they have to deduct. And consultation fees is also at the time of these salaries, interest payment by banks, commission payments, rents, consultation. Question number 99, not negotiable crossing under NI Act section 130. Most important section NI Act 130. What is meant by not negotiable crossing? Under not negotiable crossing, the transferor shall not be capable of giving better title to the check than to the transfer. The transferor cannot transfer better title to the transferee, or the transferee cannot get better title from the transferor. That is there. So we can see shall not be capable of giving a better title to the check than that which the person from whom he takes. So means whatever the title is there in the case of not negotiable crossing, that title only can be transferred by transferor to the transferee, or the transferee also he cannot derive better title than the transferor which he is having. That is called not negotiable crossing, NI Act section 130. Question number 100, agreement to sell. What is the definition? Sales of Goods Act. So overall, Sales of Goods Act is also important. Agreement to sell definition. As per agreement to sell definition, the ownership of goods in the goods, is yet to pass from the seller to the buyer. That is called agreement to sell. Agreement to sell means the ownership in the goods is yet to pass from the seller to the buyer. This is the question number 100. Dear viewers, so far with this part 4, So we had uploaded part 1, part 2, part 3 with this video part 4. Total 100 questions. In 100 questions we had covered almost all the topics in legal and regulatory aspect of banking. These are all are very important questions, and these are all are very frequently asked questions in the examination. Okay, those people who had already subscribed our channel, please share among your friends for their benefit, for getting the direct videos, for subscription of to our channel. And thank you very much for all the viewers for giving lot of support for watching our videos. Regularly we are posting JIB, CIB and promotional exam videos also. Regularly we are updating in our through our YouTube channel uploading. So thank you very much for all. I wish all the best of all the participants for their forthcoming examination. Thank you very much for all for viewing our YouTube channel.